So, since you guys absolutely blew up my last zombie game video, let's do another zombie game video because, well, I really want to milk that cow dry. But, yeah, let's talk about some more zombie games that I feel like you guys should definitely play. Note, these games I'm mentioning isn't in a particular order or list, it's just, hey, these games are fun, they're great, there's a lot of good things about them, so you should play them. Anyway, yeah, let's get started with these games. So, as of lately, this game has been showing up a lot on my feed, and I figured, hey, why not talk about it for a video? And that game is No More Room in Hell. No More Room in Hell is actually a relatively challenging game, as its difficulty can tend to be pretty high at moments. Like Left 4 Dead, it runs on the Source engine. It's pretty solid of a game, actually. Um, a little bit more slower pace than Left 4 Dead, I would say, as I feel like you got to be more strategic in the way you think, and there's, at least from what I've seen and what I've played, there's more objective in the game. But nonetheless, this game is pretty solid, and whenever I played it maybe a couple years ago, I actually enjoyed the crap out of it. Maybe I'll have to play the game some more just so I can really enjoy it more than I already have enjoyed it, because it's a pretty solid game. I don't really know if it has a direct story to it, but from what I've played, it's a blast, and I honestly cannot wait for No More Room in Hell 2 to come out whenever the dev team is finished with that. But overall, No More Room in Hell, play that game. And now we're on to the next one. Okay guys, so I'm not gonna lie, it feels like an absolute crime knowing that I left it out of my last video, and I probably should have, because this was also a childhood defining game, and when I made my last video, I completely forgot about it, and I without a doubt would have put it in my honorable mentions, but I forgot. That is completely my bad. And that game is Plants vs. Zombies. Not the second one, not the shitty third one that's coming out. I never really played Garden Warfare. I know you're going to attack me for saying I never played Garden Warfare, but the first Plants vs. Zombies game was absolutely revolutionary. And I feel like such a dick for not mentioning it, at least putting it in honorable mentions in my last video, because this game is terrific. It's not like super scary or whatever. It's more of a goofy, cartoony game. I mean, the name is literally Plants vs. Zombies. But this game was childhood defining right here. Played this game as a young child, my guy. And it was so fun. I had an absolute blast playing Plants vs. Zombies. This game, before EA really got greedy and started putting microtransactions in the mobile version, as well as making Plants vs. Zombies 2 a mobile game only, especially with a bunch of microtransactions, the first Plants vs. Zombies game was so good. It was amazing. I loved playing every second of it because of just how simplistic, but also how fun and difficult it could be at times. It's not like the other zombie games I mentioned where it's about survival or blah blah blah. This game was out to just give you a good time. And if you were having difficulty, you really just had to suck it up, get good, and realize what you were doing wrong. Overall, Plants vs. Zombies, absolute beauty of a game, and I'm so upset at myself for not mentioning it. I can't speak right now. Just putting it in the last video. But yeah, PvZ, come on, what are you doing? Go play that game. It's peak. Another game I feel like I should have mentioned in the last video, and I absolutely didn't because I wasn't thinking, was The Last of Us. The Last of Us is also a pretty solid game. I really enjoyed playing the first Last of Us game. I thought it was fun. I thought it was very enjoyable. And really, it had some great gameplay mechanics. It had great characters and storytelling. Like, Joel and Ellie are just two characters you can absolutely just follow and fall in love with, because it's just that much fun. It's fun, tragic at moments, especially if you know what happens later on in the story, right? I forget what city they're in, but I'm not going to say too much because I assume everyone already knows. The Last of Us is a great but tragic tale, especially in the second game, because that second game, it just gets even more sad. Overall, The Last of Us, I mean, hey, go play it, check it out. If you haven't played it, you probably should. I know a lot of people are very mixed on The Last of Us 2. I think it's a quite enjoyable experience. I mean, I kind of had some really crappy opinions on the game back in 2020, but I mean, when you give stuff more time, your mind kind of grows to it because, well, I mean, you got to give it some time to really sit and really develop, because when you do that, a game can truly, in your own eyes, get better. That's honestly how I felt about Project Zomboid, because when I first played Zomboid, I didn't really enjoy it much. I thought it was weird because it was an isometrical game, or asymmetrical, whatever you want to call it. But over time, I really adapted to the game style, and I started falling in love with it. And now it's probably my second favorite zombie game of all time. Anyway, I've been yapping for too long. Let's go on to the next game. Now, this game I'm about to mention, there's a reason why I didn't put it in my top 5, even as an honorable mention, and it's just because, frankly, I don't really think it's that good of a game. Now, I'm going to bunch multiple of the games into this spot, and it's Dead Island 1, 2, and Riptide. I'm not going to talk about Retro Revenge because I have not played that. I have it, but I've never played it. But Dead Island 1, 2, and Riptide, let's talk about those. Honestly, at best, I think the first Dead Island is okay. It can be fun at moments, but it's overall just okay. It's kind of, it's a really dated game in my opinion. It's really dated. Sure, you got the definitive versions where it's more remastered and better and stuff like that, but when you really go back and play Dead Island 1 and Riptide, it's just so dated, man. Like it feels like a game from, what was it, 2011? Now, I will put a little bit of respect on the game, as it's also another one of the zombie games that really got me into zombie games, because back then, I thought this game was fucking horrifying. Dead Island was something new to me, and obviously when I go to play something like Dying Light, there's a lot of elements of Dead Island in Dying Light, and that makes sense, because Techland made both of those games. Except for Dead Island 2, they didn't make that one. But when I go play Dead Island, while back then it was enjoyable to me, nowadays I kind of sit there, I play it, and I'm like, I could really just be playing Dying Light right now. But even then, it still scores some nostalgia points, as back then I actually really liked it. I will say though, this game, I feel like it took itself way too seriously. I'm gonna be completely honest. I feel like it took itself way too seriously. While there are moments where Dying Light will take itself too seriously, Dead Island does it to a degree where it's really cringy, both in Dead Island Riptide and the first Dead Island. But let's start talking about the second one, because the second one takes everything about the first Dead Island and Riptide and just does it like 10 times better. Dead Island 2 still has a lot of flaws. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I don't really like the locked-in map. Because what I liked about the first Dead Island game is all the different areas were kind of semi-open world in a way, where there was like a lot of areas to explore. In Dead Island 2, I feel much more locked and restricted, and I really dislike that. I mean, to an extent, I get it. Maybe they wanted to put some more detailing in the map, but I mean, for me personally, I feel like they should have had more open space, because Dead Island 2, while I like it, I like its combat, I like its gore and stuff like that, I think it's kind of bare bones and really empty. It's like, I can't even describe how I feel. It just feels so empty to play. I'm not saying Dead Island 2 is a bad game. I'd say at best it's like a 6 to 7 out of 10. It's like above average. But really, what I dislike about Dead Island 2 compared to the previous Dead Island games is the map. It's just, super confined, and I dislike that a lot. But like I said, by no means is Dead Island 2 a bad game. It's just, I don't like the map. I wish it was better. But, I mean, hey, at least they improved upon a lot of the other things that I thought was really lacking with Dead Island 1 and Riptide, and that was the combat. Its melee combat got a massive step up. Its melee combat actually feels like I'm hitting zombies. Like, every weapon feels so smooth to play with. I forget what was my favorite weapon. I think it was Sam B's sledgehammer you get right at the end of the game. But overall, I mean, hey, Dead Island 2 and just the Dead Island games in general, you should check them out. If you really want some cheesy zombie games to play, Dead Island, the whole series is pretty much something to play. I feel like the games are like maybe a 1 to 2 time playthrough and then you go play something else.
Like Dying Light.
But overall, Dead Island, check it out. It's cool. So what I'm about to say next is an absolute surprise, but the next game I'm going to talk about is actually a Ubisoft game. And when it first came out, it was a Wii U exclusive back in like 2015, 2014, I believe. I can't exactly remember when the Wii U came out. Nonetheless, this game was a Wii U exclusive for a time being, and that was ZombiU. This game was, I mean, since it was on the Wii U, it was very different because you had to utilize your gamepad as well as the actual TV screen. You needed to play this game on the TV, because if you didn't have an actual TV, you couldn't play this game. Now, actually talking about the game, it's great. It's not the best game ever, but it's kind of like a survival horror game, and it's really fun. Similar to Project Zomboid, when you die, instead of like reloading a save, you start as a new character, and you can actually find your character, your old one, in the world of the game, and you can kill him and get your shit back. Now, they eventually would port this game to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and I'm gonna be honest, I think the port is okay. I think a lot of things could have been done a lot differently compared to the Wii U version, but nonetheless, ZombiU, or Zombie, is actually a pretty solid game with very dark and gritty atmospheres at times, but I mean, it's very enjoyable. It's super scary at moments, to be honest with you. Like, it feels like a horror game. When I was about 8 years old and I played this shit, I was crapping my pants because I've never played a zombie game quite like it. I mean, yeah, around that time I played games like Dead Island, but this game hit more on the scare factor than Dead Island did, because Dead Island wasn't really that scary to me. But this game was creepy. It was eerie. I didn't even know whether or not like there was going to be a zombie pulling up right in front of me. And the gamepad just made it feel super, super unique. And I feel like Ubisoft should have ported this game to the Switch, because I think it would have been very sick to play this on Switch. It would have been the exact same thing, except Nintendo Switch ported. Nonetheless, ZombiU is a solid game, or Zombie. If you don't have a Wii U, just play it on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, it doesn't matter. Check it out, it's pretty solid. Especially for a Ubisoft game. So remember when I talked about The Walking Dead in my last zombie game video? The Walking Dead Season 1? Well, we're not going to be talking about Season 2, we're going to be talking about a completely different game. I got your fucking hopes up for nothing. Saints and Sinners. Man, is this game good. Where do I even begin? You truly feel like you are in an apocalypse when you play this game. This game, kind of like ZombiU, which is what I just mentioned, this game is fucking gritty and dark at moments. Like, seriously, like, I'm usually against games with, like, little to no color saturation, but games like this, I can completely understand, and I can completely, like, get, you know, I can get why it's gritty and undersaturated and shit like that. Saints and Sinners, you really feel like you are in an apocalypse when you play it. Not to mention, it's a virtual reality game. While I don't really play a lot of VR games anymore, Saints and Sinners is definitely worth talking about, as it's great. It's an amazing game. Now, I did not play the second one. I've heard very mixed opinions on the second one, and honestly, I don't even play VR that much. But nonetheless, it is still a solid game that I definitely think you should check out if you have a VR and if you have money. It's worth it. It has great gameplay, great storytelling, and the tourist, I mean, hey, he's a badass. That's you. You're a badass. But nonetheless, this game if I'm not mistaken, it takes place in the comic book universe, so don't expect like Rick Grimes from the TV show, like Andrew Lincoln's Rick Grimes and Daryl Dixon and shit like that. Plus, not to mention, you are in Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. Anyway, Saints and Sinners, solid game. Give it a check. Yeah, I can't speak right now. Check it out. And, yeah, on to the next game. So, the next game I'm going to mention is also another VR game, and I know that's probably going to be upsetting to some people, but trust, this one's pretty good, and it's free. So, this game is Propagation VR. I played this game a couple years ago when I first got my VR headset, and it's pretty fun. The only thing I dislike is that you are just stuck in one place in one metro station, and there's hordes of zombies that come your way, and a bunch of other fucked up creatures like spider human zombie things. I can't even describe this game. It's very weird, and like I said, you stay in one spot like the whole game. But other than that, this game is actually pretty good. It's very fucking dark, so you gotta like turn your flashlight on. And the zombies are not afraid to just go ahead and charge at you. This game is honestly really fun, and I actually recommend it to people with VR headsets. Kind of like I did Saints and Sinners. This game it's a VR only game, like I said. It's sad, but hey, solid game to play. Not bad by any means, and I definitely think people should give this game a try. It's very, very fun. Next game. And for the last pick. This, you guys might think I'm cheating a little bit by putting this game on here, but it's my list, I don't care, and they're kind of like zombies. And this last game I'm going to mention is SCP-5K. This game is dope. It's like if you took tactical realism shooters and put it in the SCP universe. Now, I would say I'm a pretty, not big fan of SCP, but I like a lot of SCP media, and I definitely think we should get more SCP related shit and more stuff. Like, honestly, if Netflix decided to make an SCP series, I would watch that. But knowing Netflix, they'd fuck it up somehow. Anyway, we're getting off track. SCP-5K is really cool. You kind of, if I'm not mistaken, you're like FBI or like you're some MilSim agents or some shit. And you go into this SCP facility, and there's like a bunch of these zombie-like monsters that you gotta gun down. And there's like multiple different SCPs. There's these spider crab things that are fucking horrifying, and I hate that part of the game because they're just terrifying. One of the SCP-173s are in this game, because there's multiple different versions of SCP-173, but there's one specific model for him that's very different from the one that we're all used to. He's in this game. The zombie ones I mentioned. There's this other one that's like a TV screen that kills you. That one was really weird. Overall, SCP-5K, it's really not what you would expect for an SCP game, because when you go back and play games like Containment Breach, you know, it's just Containment Breach. SCP-5K is a whole different story, because this time you're busting into the SCP facility and gunning shit down. It's a really big blast, and there's also different game modes you can play. Like, if I'm not mistaken, there's a PvP game mode, which is really cool. And I mean, I can't even talk more about this game. It's just really fun. Like I said, I'm probably cheating by putting this in the zombie game category, but, well, it's my list. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. But, yeah, that SCP-5K, go play it. And with that, the video is concluded. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next AZG video. Also, before I go, I should mention, I'm probably not going to do CBF this week, as honestly, I haven't really been reading much. So, maybe about next week, I'll come back big, strong with a new story that I haven't talked about on the channel yet. Anyway, take care, everybody. See you in the next one. Take care.